Hello, DP fans. I'm TJ Kirk, co-host and co-creator of the Drunken Peasants Podcast. Over the course of 3 years and hundreds of episodes, this show has gone through its highs, and they were high highs, I'll tell you that much, and its lows. I think that in many people's eyes, our recent period of content has been a little rocky. Many of our fans have told us they feel the show is going downhill, they feel it's getting stale. It is in response to these complaints that we have spent the last week scrutinizing this show, trying to figure out what is working and what isn't working.
The reboot of the Drunken Peasants Podcast was about to begin, exciting the fans still around that were awaiting change. The launch would go well for the time being, but as many had predicted, times were changing, and within a few weeks, the saga of the Drunken Peasants would come to a close. Episode 410, the Drunken Peasants Podcast, had returned from its hiatus, and fans eagerly anticipated the new segment that awaited them. The biggest and most positive change for many here would be the death of the Streamlabs segment. From now on, the show would no longer hit an awkward pause to take in Streamlabs. Instead, now they would appear in the corner throughout the broadcast. New segments to spice up the show were introduced, such as Dick or No Dick, where the panel would have to guess if the subject, in fact, had a penis or did not.
Dick or no dick?
This one might be... I'm thinking dick. But this one might be one of those just kind of like, you know, more Ruben-esque women.
Dick!
Woman with a strong jaw.
So Scotty says dick.
I might make a point up here, but I might drop below Scotty if I'm wrong. I'm going to say no dick.
No dick, says Paul.
I say no dick as well.
The answer is, what is this? Which number is this?
This is
Number 5. No dick.
Oh,
yes!
Rigged! Paul fucking look, dude.
Yes!
That's fucking rigged shit.
No dick, no dick.
A game segment was also introduced during this time to test the panel's abilities with various knowledge of the search engine results on Google. Classic segments like Crazy People remained, and the news segment underwent some changes, now mainly covering news articles as clips mainly had focused on Trump, a subject that had gotten old for the hosts and fans alike. Should Trump do something noteworthy, he would be covered in a separate segment. All in all, these changes were received quite well by fans, and it seemed the hosts were no longer bored during the show. A new intro for the show was thus requested to usher in this new age of Drunken Peasants, and the Peasants had enlisted the original creator of the previous intro to do it, which made fans very excited. The original intro was retired, and it was told it would no longer appear after episode 410. However, when episode 411 aired, fans were confused as no fancy new intro was played.
I didn't do
Smoke
shit.
weed every day. Oh yeah, welcome to the Drunken
Dude.
Peasants.
You fucking ruined my life. I'm tired of this world.
I fed up with this world.
I'm tired of this world.
I'm tired of it.
I want to see the fucking disaster artist.
No, you don't.
It's gonna be good.
All right,
Isn't it,
so
coming out
hold on.
tomorrow?
Let's explain what the fuck is going on with the intro and shit, because everyone was asking about it.
All right, so here's what happened. The guy who was doing the intro
Is dead.
couldn't finish because sad.
That's the actual explanation.
Yep.
Damn.
He's like,
okay.
I'm depressed and stuff, so no intro. I'm like, okay, cool.
That he's not doing it, or they're.
I don't know. I don't know, Scotty. I don't fucking know at this point.
Well, I mean, I hate to shit on someone for being depressed, but at the same time, like, they got to meet their obligations. So I guess you guys need to talk to them and try to figure it out.
Yep.
Times continued into the holiday season, and TJ, his brother, and Paul all departed for a vacation to Disney. Meanwhile, Ben intended to produce some content for Drunken Peasants still. However, they would not be official episodes. Part of the reason for this was to buy time until episode 420, which was to be a huge episode with all of the peasants in studio. So, Plan B was aired, and this was the first sign since the reboot that this revitalization of the podcast was no longer going to go well with the fans. Ben, Billy, and Jeff starred in episode 1 of Plan B, along with 2 women who were guest starring, one who appeared off camera, and Madison, who was on camera. These 2 would single-handedly lead many fans to cry foul, as many found them to be intolerable. Whatever DP had been before, the fans saw this as nothing like what they had once enjoyed, and those who had stuck around to see if DP would get its act together would, at this point, write off the show.
The best internet rabbit hole I ever found was Chris Chen, and it just never stops either.
All right, this is just gonna perpetuate the fact that I'm dumb to the internet. But what are you? An internet rabbit hole?
Okay, so going down the rabbit hole is where you discover something and it takes you on a trail of like just like I'm very bad at explaining.
You could have just said it was an Alice in Wonderland reference.
Yes, exactly.
Well, no, I got that. I just wasn't sure how that.
So internet rabbit hole.
Internet rabbit hole.
So
but I think I got it, and I've been down a couple. So I've been down a couple, and most of them are like. All right, so
contrary to the internet's belief.
Like let's say you go and you click cake farts.
No.
And then you click something from cake farts.
Real stories.
Oh,
so,
let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know.
All right. So I'll give you mine. Mine are kind of weird.
Oh wait, now I'm confused about what we got off the topic about.
Rabbit holes. The most interesting. What is it? The most interesting rabbit hole? Internet rabbit hole.
Yeah. It's getting warm in there, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it off.
So.
Yeah. Roll your sleeves
I'm getting
up,
distracted over here.
Not all held this episode against the peasants, as it was not an official episode of the podcast, but it was clear a large portion of the audience did not enjoy this content from the channel. Viewer drop-off can easily be seen as the next 2 Plan B episodes received far less viewership than the first one, and compared to regular DP episodes. However, viewer drop-off from Plan B wasn't the major issue the channel would be facing. After the first episode of Plan B aired, Brett Keane, the classic and original DP antagonist, made a reemergence. The channel received community guideline strike from a video promo that was made for the Brett Keane special some time ago. Because of this strike, live streaming capabilities were removed from the channel. While there was no hard evidence that Brett was the one behind this strike, the peasants still suspected him and requested the money back from PayPal that they had used to pay Brett for that episode. This strike would force the DP channel to now live stream on Twitch. Episodes would be available after the live session for subscribers, which on Twitch, subscribers were more like patrons, people who had paid about $5 to support DP on the site. The full episode later would be released on YouTube in its entirety. Episode 414 would air on December 22nd, a Friday, after TJ was in the hospital for having trouble breathing. It was suspected this was brought upon by TJ's cigarette usage, which he had tried multiple times to give up throughout the show's run. People really enjoyed this episode, especially as TJ would have one of the best rants on the show in a long time against Ben Shapiro.
Even if it did, who gives a shit? Who fucking cares if Will and Grace made people more accepting of gay marriage?
Because gay marriage is wrong.
It's wrong, TJ.
It's wrong.
Because I said it's wrong.
Abortion is wrong.
And abortion...
It challenged my moral values.
This motherfucker is such a fucking snowflake. He can't fucking stand the idea that a television show might have an opinion he doesn't like.
Yep.
Fuck him. Blow his fucking brains out.
The idea of men marrying men or women
marrying
women.
Has any in the fucking
But
first
seeing
place.
charming and funny Will Truman
What
live his
the
life
fuck?
week after week.
What a
paved the way for-
snowflake bitch. What a fucking pussy! This is your fucking hero, right wing? This little crybaby who's like, I saw an opinion I didn't like on the TV! Who fucking cares, bitch?
Tell us how you really feel about this, TJ. Tell us how you really feel about
I feel like anyone who respects this piece of shit
is retarded fundamentally.
yes, should be dropped into the fucking Grand Canyon head first and screaming.
It's wrong.
They're so
Abortion's
dumb.
wrong.
They're so dumb. They probably wouldn't even realize it was bad. They're like, "We're gonna see the Grand Canyon. We're gonna see the bottom now."
Do you know what Hollywood did today, TJ? They made a show where somebody got an abortion, and it's wrong.
The show closed, and that was it, as this was the final episode of the Drunken Peasants podcast. But wait, what exactly happened? During the course of the break over the week of Christmas leading up to New Year's, Plan C was launched of the Drunken Peasants podcast. In this episode, TJ, his brother, and Paul hosted this new show without Ben, as Ben was on vacation. Unbeknownst to many, this would spell the end of the show. The episode was removed from Twitch and lost to all time. Thus, no footage of this episode exists anywhere on the internet, unless somebody has a secret copy. Shortly after this incident, on December 29th, this announcement was made by TJ, which saddened many fans.
Hello, Drunken Peasants fans. I'm coming to you today with some news that many of you have suspected was coming for quite some time. It is my sad duty to tell you that the Drunken Peasants podcast has come to its end. The primary reason for this is the old cliche of creative differences. For some time now, there have been differing visions of the show and what it should be. We tried our best for some time to make compromises and make the show work for the sake of the fans and for the sake of our own livelihoods. But ultimately, I think these compromises have satisfied no one, least of all the fans. The final issue for me was when the latest episode of the show, shot by me, Scotty, and Paul, was removed from circulation without my consent or permission. I bear no grudge about this, but I cannot be part of a show where I cannot trust that my creative output won't be censored from within my own circle. I plan to start a new podcast very soon, and I hope that many of you will check it out and hopefully enjoy it. Stay tuned to the TJ Kirk channel for announcements regarding that show's launch. Although I am parting ways with Ben, I would like to say that I wish him nothing but success in the future and would heartily encourage everyone here to subscribe to his channel, Benpai, which I'll link in the description. I'm sure that in the wake of DP coming to an end, he'll be pouring a lot more of his efforts into that project, and I hope that you will support him in that endeavor. I have no animosity whatsoever about this split, and I'm extremely proud of every one of the over 400 episodes that we did together, as well as the many private shows, commentaries, specials, and more. The Drunken Peasants was a hell of a ride, but now I'm looking forward to taking a new ride in a new direction. I hope that all of you watching this will take it with me, but if not, I want to say how much it has been a pleasure of mine to entertain you. I wish you the best, and I'm glad we could spend so much time together. Peace.
It was clear in the announcement TJ and Ben had parted ways, and this led many to speculation on what exactly happened to lead the two to the split. The most common assumption was against Ben. Some of the previous drama in the fan communities had involved him and extramarital affairs he had engaged in, with rumors speculating about Ben's involvement with fans of the show. This drama had been going around the fan communities, which many of it was shut down by moderators and Benpai alike. So when the episode was removed with almost no reasoning why, and TJ's video remaining vague, many of the fans began to speculate it was because of this issue, as in the Plan C episode, the host had covered this video from Brett Keane.
And nowadays, I've discovered that there's a lot of Drunken Peasants fans out there who are starting to understand where I'm coming from. Just recently, Ben apparently cheated on his wife. He made it clear to underage girls that watch the show that he was interested in them while knowing at the same time he was married, knowing their age, and him and his atheist friend Fancy Badger got involved in that. I've had countless young atheists come to me showing me all this information under the sun.
Because of the vast amounts of rumors and censorship made against Ben in the various fan communities he had been a part of, this being the reasoning for the Plan C removal was the one most fans believed. Many came out saying that Ben was unable to take criticism and feedback, as there were some posts in various social groups that showed this. Galen, a friend of TJ's who had been on the show long ago and was starting a new podcast with TJ, Scotty, and Paul, had this to say on the matter of DP and Benpai.
There's a lot of things to focus on content. I've never been one to focus on Burger King. So that's just my thing. And I have echoed that to all the people from Peasants from the beginning. Stay away from Burger King. And, there was a person on, DP that wanted to push that kind of in a passive aggressive way since, hey, and one Paul, one TJ, one Scotty that, who wanted to push that since I kept saying, don't go after that because you're going to have flagging issues and all. So when you saw these flagging issues, one person is responsible and it ain't Brett. So I blame that person. I think it's just unprofessional. And I have extreme professional disagreements, which is one reason I was not on the show, because I will not, I can't tolerate being on board with someone like that. I have extreme professional disagreements with a person like Ben. I do. Now, this is not to negate or be rude to him, or I'm not trashing him. I'm just saying that I can't work with a person like that. And that I have a long history with that. And I just don't feel he's a workable person for me. Now, Pimp here worked with him fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case with me. And Pimp worked with him, but he was given a chance to work with him. I was never given a chance. And I just feel I was done wrong by that. Not by TJ or anything. I was asked by TJ repeatedly to do stuff, but I couldn't work with a guy like that. But I applaud TJ for working out with issues with everyone on board. It's not easy having a long going weekly show and working with and collaborating with a lot of people. And they did very well. And I really pushed, even at times when the show was having issues behind the scenes. I've always, even with my differences with Ben, pushed for TJ to work things out. And with Scotty and all of them to keep it going. And I put in a good word, even though I have extreme professional and personal differences with a guy like Ben, I push to work things out with him because I feel it's best to work through things professionally that you best can, even though it wasn't going to work with me and him, that was what was best for everybody. And I would want that in any business situation. So, it's not surprising this happened. It came to a head. Certain things can't exist. I expected that this is probably going to happen. I was wanting it not to, but hey, it happens.
Ben, after the announcement from TJ, released a statement regarding what happened over Plan C. The intro had apparently featured dildos in it for the stream, which wasn't allowed on Twitch and could get the channel suspended as well. Because of this, Ben removed the stream before the channel got in trouble, but did so without any backup copy of the stream whatsoever. This miscommunication was the final straw for TJ in what had been a series of problems between Ben and TJ in running the show, who had had disagreements over how to handle the show moving forward. It is unclear what exactly was going on, but fans can only speculate about the true facts of the decline in relations between the two, at least professionally, when it came to creating the Drunken Peasants podcast. Later, TJ would address the end of the show and defend Ben, stating that the reason he stopped doing the show was, indeed, because of creative differences and nothing more. And upset fans should be mad at him and not Ben, as Ben would have gladly continued to do the show. Many have taken sides in the split, with a decent portion angry at Ben and or TJ for how the show ended. The truth as to what happened in the background between the hosts most likely wasn't a simple matter. Many conspiracies are out there on this, but it's up to each fan to come to their own determination, with the knowledge that no matter what the truth behind the ending of the show was, an era was now ending, with some believing that it was Brett's video behind it all. Would this mean in the end Brett Keane had come back and won the Great Manatee War? From 2014 to 2017, for many, Drunken Peasants had become a big part of people's lives, whether they were there from the start or hopped aboard the ride later on down the road. The show had its ups and downs for sure, but many will remember the good times they had with the show over its many entertaining episodes over the years. What made the show really wasn't the videos, but the chemistry of the panel on the show, and especially the hosts TJ, Scotty, Paul, and Ben. Though this magic may have been lost towards the end of the show, the memories of the past are not. From the first steps out of the frozen armpit of America in the Stone Age.
Ted Cruz was born in Canada.
Yeah, he's Canadian. The piece of shit trying to
kind of like Steven Crowder. They're both born in Canada.
Canada needs to stop flushing its shit down here.
I don't trust those Canadians. I mean,
Yeah.
they're north of the
Justin
border.
fucking
What are they
Bieber,
doing?
too.
Yeah,
Justin Bieber.
There you
Why?
go. Steven Crowder, Justin Bieber, Ted Cruz.
Why does Canada keep flushing its shit down into America? Stop.
We went off on a tangent with that one, but that is true.
Blame Canada.
I like a lot of the DP fan base. I was originally a Amazing Atheist fan. I watched TJ for years, ever since I was a kid, and you know, he started uploading clips of the Drunken Peasants, and he tossed around the idea that he was doing a podcast. So I went to check it out, and I wasn't there for the no bullshit episodes. I think I probably started watching around like episode 5 or something, you know, somewhere around there, early. And I wasn't hooked right away, but I would drop in from time to time. And then when the show became video focused, that's when I really got hooked.
When I was coming out of religion in grade 8, I came across atheist YouTubers, one of which was TJ. And I was watching through his videos, you know, getting really into the whole I don't believe in God type of idea. And when I was scrolling through his videos, I found a couple videos called DP. They were weird to me at the time because I never really thought of people making a podcast out of just watching crazy people and making fun of them would be something that would actually exist.
To the surge of art and crazy people that gave way to classical peasantism.
When, you know, they started introducing all kinds of personalities like G-Man, and they were running jokes, and there was kind of that DP universe being built. That's when I really started to get hooked.
I mean, you should, you know what you should do, G-Man? You should pray to a different god and see if the results are any different.
Yeah.
No, I don't need to.
Pray to the
I grew
claw.
up in a Muslim household.
Because, like, you know, I bet you, G-Man, I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to start praying to I'm going to pray to the John Cena that we have here. And he is going to, I'm going to keep a prayer journal, and I'm going to see what percentage of my prayers are answered and what the answers are from John Cena. Because if that's your evidence of God, then I shouldn't be able to get the exact same result from praying to an inanimate fucking object. But I suspect that I will.
So go pray to John Cena then, and make sure you use the conditions in the Bible too.
Well, John Cena, we can actually hear John Cena though. He actually says things. So there's the difference. You can pray to John Cena and he actually replies.
Yeah, with the recording device, inside your plastic doll.
Well,
the bottom line is
there's a recording device inside your brain when God talks to you. You know?
Okay, that's a positive claim. Can you prove that?
Can you prove that it's not?
Ooh, you can't prove it. You can't prove it.
Actually, yeah, you can.
Actually, you can't, sir. You can't, sir. You can't prove that I'm talking to myself when I'm praying to God, sir. You know that.
G-Man.
No. You see, this is the thing. We have these things called MRI machines, magnetic resonance
He's trying to besmirch
scanners.
me. He's trying to besmirch the G-Man, and he can't do it.
What is wrong with you? All right, G-Man. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks, G-Man. Thanks, G-Man. Always a pleasure. You won.
Yeah, he won.
You won. G-Man won, as usual.
Personally, I don't subscribe to that theory. But if we choose this as the suitable explanation, then at the end of the day, the reason for how he acted is still drugs. So you know what just happened, TJ? You've been pwned. You've been Super Pwned. You've been Tommy Lee Pwned. You've been E.T. Pwned.
Oh, shit.
But that's not all, TJ. Not only have I pwned you, I've pwned your gods! You're nothing without Manson, TJ! Nothing! Now look upon your broken gods! You failed me, TJ! You failed me!
You're nothing, TJ. You're garbage.
I just want to be light.
You're garbage, TJ.
You're fucking garbage, TJ.
All right. Okay, so we got to work that into the new intro whenever that happens.
I would say my first memory of DP was back when I was recovering from my pilonidal cyst surgery, and I was browsing around through YouTube, and I saw something that TJ had promoted on his channel, and it was the Drunken Peasants Podcast. And this was back when they were doing their submitting video questions ideas. So I decided to send a question for their whole thing. And then one time they gave me the name Humpty Dumpty, and then later on they gave me the name Egghead, and then I guess the rest is history. Alright, this is my fourth question for the Drunken Peasants Podcast. I love the Humpty Dumpty joke, by the way. That was really funny.
You remember that guy? That was the guy that you said looked like Humpty Dumpty.
I said that his head looked like an egg.
To the Salt Crisis, which saw the rise and fall of Paul's ego.
He goes and runs and gets his mom. His mom comes to the door, and my dad calmly explains to her, your son damaged something that's very important to me today on the bus. PJ, go ahead and tell the story. And Sean is standing there looking at me. And I'm like, Sean was on the bus, and he grabbed the trumpet, and he dropped it, and it made that. And Sean was like, no way, P-Way, I didn't drop the trumpet, I just dropped the trumpet, Mom. And so his mom gets down on her, on one knee, and she goes, Shawnee, did you drop that trumpet? I swear, Mom, I didn't drop the trumpet. I held the trumpet, but I didn't drop the trumpet, I swear. She goes, Shawnee, you're lying to me. And she grabs his arm, lifts it up, and starts whooping his fucking ass right in front of me. And I'm sitting there.
Oh, man.
When I made Salty Paul, I never expected the reception it got. I never expected everyone to love it so much. I never expected to really get on the show. I never thought that the peasants would respond so well to it, and I didn't think it would turn into what it did. And to the peasants, I say thank you so much, because you guys have helped my channel get to where it is now.
And who could forget those that gave their lives in the Great Manatee War?
Because we made fun of your terrible logic in that video, you've never responded to any of our counterpoints, by the way. All you've done since then is, make vague threats against us. Like, you guys wouldn't say shit to my face. Yeah. Yeah, I would, Joseph. If you were standing right in front of my face, I would say the same shit to you. I'd be like, yeah, your video was stupid, and you have no ability to reason, and you really shouldn't be making YouTube videos about anything.
I mean, he's proven that because he's resorting to threats now.
Yeah, and not only that, he's resorting to something even lower than threats. He's resorting to complimenting Brett Keane.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like TJ in 2008 level cringe.
Yeah, I know you hate us, Joseph, but this is some actual advice. And at one point, you know, if you're not completely crazy, you'll look back and remember me saying this. Brett Keane's gonna fucking betray you. I'm sorry to fucking fill you in, but this new friend of yours that made this glowing video about what a wonderful person and a brother in Christ you are is gonna stab you right in the fucking back on YouTube publicly.
When you guys got in touch with him, that shit was so fucking funny. That was hilarious. The way he pussed out like that on phone. That was just too much. And I'm gonna miss moments like that.
Today, I decided to spend some time trying to help Paul.
Oh, you are? What are you going to do situation?
I talked to him earlier today over a hot cup of coffee.
Because you know what, dude? When I need help with something, the first person I go to is a toothless fucking layabout living in Festus, Missouri. Yep. If I'm looking for advice, it's going to be the guy that's been fucking hammering away at the same try at YouTube fame for 10 fucking years.
Hello. Hi.
Jesus, it's like a chipmunk or something.
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh God.
Hi.
Your voice is high pitched. Wow.
Hi, guys. Oh my God, I'm
Hello.
so excited.
How
Hi,
are you
chat.
doing?
Hi, everybody. Oh.
Wow.
Oh, sorry. Do I need to turn on camera or no?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can if you wish.
Oh, I can hear myself. Hold up. Okay. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys? I
Pretty
was in the
good.
middle of painting my nails, but I didn't finish these two, so we'll do it live, you know? It's fine.
Paul, we're replacing you with this high-pitched voice.
This is Rybi Jenkins.
I take my dog out to shit and you guys replace me with a woman immediately? Like, what the fuck?
Well, we thought
the
for sure you was like, when Dad goes out for that pack of cigarettes, We thought you were gone.
Do I need to grow a beard, in order to take his spot?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Neck beard, here we go.
Paul
be
is
blue?
Paul's gonna give you his beard. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, that's the way it works. I have to shave my beard and mail it to you, and you just glue it on.
You're nasty.
So,
Well, Ben came to my Twitch channel. He was typing in the chat. I at first didn't believe that it was the real Drunken Peasants account, so I was like, who this? Is this TJ? Who this? And then he told me it was Ben, and then we connected on Twitter, and we became really good friends. And yeah, so he was like, hey, you want to come on the show and do some voice acting things for me? And I said, yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Even though it's funny because I told my friend I didn't want to be like on that big audience, because I was such a big audience, I was really intimidated. But regardless, I went on the show and I had a great time, and then they invited me back and I felt really good. And then, you know, all the everything else, but yeah.
The dark ages of kayfabe, while dreaded, still brought many great moments in history to the beloved podcast.
And really started to go downhill when the dark ages happened. You know what I mean. But when it came back, I was starting to get back into it a lot. You know, I was starting to love each episode, but when the apocalypse came, everything went to shit.
And to the final days of the podcast, during the Peasantal Revolution and DP Scare, all of which still gave fans wonderful memories.
I would watch or listen to the show while I was at work or on break, or when I'm just at home fucking around. I would I would listen to it while I played games, and it really has been a comfort to me. You know, my girlfriend that I've been with now for about 3 years, so about the span of the show, a little off, but about the whole time the show has been on, we've been together, and we would be together a lot when I would listen to it. So I mean, it's really crazy that it's over. You know, all the shit that I've been through while the show was happening, and the show being there to comfort me, really meant a lot.
All of these memories will not be lost. That much is certain. The fans also played a big part in the show's success. With them, despite fan community drama, many friendships were made that will last despite the end of the show.
What I'm gonna miss most from DP is the community. The community, there's artists, there's photographers, there's Photoshop meme makers, there's, you know, singers, and it's just amazing that the community came together to create such a great show, because they contributed intros to them, layouts, you know, musical things that Ben might use for the show, video submissions. Like, without the audience, DP would really be nothing. And so I'm gonna miss that the most, because that sense of community where we worked together to create a final product, that was the best part, I think, of my adult life, was being part of that and being able to work closely with both the creators and the audience and be like that middleman between them.
Some may feel rage and hatred to certain members of the podcast, but there's no denying the vital role TJ, Ben, TJ's brother, Paul, and even Billy the Fridge played in creating the Drunken Peasants podcast. The gap now left by DP in its viewers' schedule will be felt by its fans, just going to show the impact it made on them.
It sucks to see them go on and end the show, but you know, I give them nothing but props for what they did, and I wish them well for their future endeavors. So, thanks for the memories, guys.
You forever changed my life when I discovered through you guys about the Rhine of Zao Dadong. Peace.
I'm sad to see it go, but I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the future. And always remember, at least you're not breaking. Things might get better. Peace the fuck out.
Drunken Peasants to many wasn't just a podcast on entertainment and politics. It spoke to a lot of people, the modern peasant, if you will. The show spoke to those that felt silenced and uncared about by society and politics at large, that this podcast either gave them a voice or showed them that they were not alone.
I really think this was the Howard Stern of podcasts. Like, I think it was the best fucking podcast ever made. Obviously, that's subjective, but that's my opinion. You know, it's a great fucking show, and I'm really sad to see it go.
The Drunken Peasants reached out to so many different groups of people because it was able to relate to many in a variety of different ways. The internet was forever changed by this show, and its legacy will endure, in both the continuation of the host's future projects and the fans, the masses of peasants that will never forget the good times they had during the epoch of the Drunken Peasants Podcast.
And the smiles, happy that it could last for a while. I'll remember all the good times the rest of my life. Kind of like when Evan LeFevre was our friend till the end, and G-Man thought there were no starving children. Dusty got rusty and we cringed at Egghead. The Bud King lied and we laughed at Patrick Coleman. Rip TP, thank you for all the memories. Rip TP, TJ, Benpai, Billy and Scotty. Rip TP, thank you for all the memories.